Welcome Acolytes. Today I am reacting to Monster Hunter Wilds. New weapon buffs, gameplay, Lancer, Insect Glaive, Switch X. So, there are a lot of buffs. I don't think those are the only weapons that are buffed or not. And I specifically don't play the beta because if it's out, it's out. I'm gonna play it then, just so I won't spoil myself. It's just the way I wanna play. And I'm quite happy about the tweaks they're gonna probably make. And yeah, let's just see what they are.
Hey guys, it's Paradise, and there's some massive changes, details, and goodies to go over after the latest community update. With balance changes to weapons, new offset attacks being added, and more, with a possible new open beta test currently being talked about and discussed, we have so much to go over from hit stop to friendly fire.
By the way, I love the new design of the monsters. It looks way more monstrous than before. Before they were like prettier. Now they are a bit more, like monsters, like dinos. It's just a bit crueler. It's more of a The Witcher type thing, where the monsters are just ugly. I like that, Acolytes. I really like that.
General gameplay information and all that good stuff. But we'll start off with the weapons because that's pretty much what's interesting to us. I will say some of these details we already knew about from the press previews, but there's a few extra things sprinkled in here and there that are actually pretty cool.
Ooh, this looks like the Switch X and they... I mean, I didn't see anything new here, but okay. Oh, before I forget it, Acolytes, I forgot to say. We're watching Monster Hunter Wild News Weapon from Agrats Gaming. Sub and like him, you know the shebang. I'm just saying it because I forgot. Damn. Sorry, Agrats.
As well as some specific gameplay for each of the majorly updated weapons, showing off their new changes a little bit. We'll kick it.
And by the way, I love the design of this specific thing. It looks like a stone dog. Just particularly like it.
A little bit. We'll kick it off with the Insect Glaive, which is one of the weapons that has the most changes out of everything. And of course, the Vaulting Dance or the Bounce is back, as was confirmed in those press.
Good. Sorry for the cut. Had to do something. Good, let's continue.
Reviews. On top of that, we know that the aerial attack power will increase by 2 levels each time you vault. And perhaps the biggest change for the Insect Glaive is that the descending slash, the new charged attack, is now an offset attack, which is so cool to hear.
Fair enough. Nice. Damn. Okay. Good changes. I'm gonna be honest, I hope they change it that because if you got 3 pheromones on the monster and just activated all 3, you got a bonus. They for some reason removed that. I mean, why?
This will make that move way more satisfying to pull off. In addition to this, there has been some extract changes, where the orange extract will now negate knockback even with your weapon drawn, and they've added back in the bonuses for having all 3 extracts, negating the wind pressure, tremors, and roars, meaning it's got its earplugs back. So Insect Glaive
Good, it was so stupid to remove
mains can rejoice because it's looking like it's in a super good place after these few tweaks. One thing to note is that the controls for the charging descending slash is staying the same. Tokada did comment on this, and after a lot of thought, he thought it actually adds sort of another layer of skill for the player rather than changing this control scheme and tweaking the whole way the weapon controls.
Good.
But I do have to say, I am so glad that the aerial attack power increases when you vault and that Vaulting Dance is back in general, so it looks like the aerial Insect Glaive is truly back on the menu.
Extremely good.
Moving over to the Lance though, this is another weapon that has had some sweeping changes that I think people were begging for, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised. They've called out that you now have more ways to go into the charged counter, and that it can be chained into from any other move.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Because the lance itself always was like the heavy tank weapon. And if you give players another layer of testing and still keep the spirit of the weapon. Perfect. Perfect.
And it even lets you guard while charging, which means you won't be getting interrupted when you get
Perfect.
hit while doing it. So this
Perfect.
means you don't have
Good.
to use it only at the end of your 3-hit combo, and because of the guard function, it now acts more like counter thrust, which is a massive
Good.
change and will likely
Love
mean
it.
any Lance mains out there are going to be quite happy about it.
Yep.
On top of this, Power Guard will also charge to higher levels
What the
more
fuck?
quickly after you actually guard an incoming attack. And Perfect Guards and Power Guards can also be chained into a new move that wasn't really explained, but it looks like a sort of payback thrust style attack. In
Good.
addition to this, guard dashes are also faster, and overall the moveset has been refined to be sped up and give you more options. And it's worth highlighting Shinkrai's tweet here, as he's done a great job of pointing out that Counter Guard is back, which is a huge change. So Lance mains are probably going to be happy with this, as these are many of the changes requested and the overall weapon should feel a lot better now. And now we move on to the switch axe, which overall they've said has been made much stronger. They said there's various adjustments to switching into sword mode to make it more satisfying, and they've improved various moves of the weapon, but they did highlight the full release slash, where they say they've increased the power output of it and have given it knockback resistance when doing it, making it overall much easier and stronger to execute.
That's good. That's fine. Okay.
This is a very interesting change given that the full release slash was still pretty strong in the open beta test. It was more so the general sword moveset that needed juicing up. But I am all for having a stronger finisher, and they have said there are various other improvements, but they didn't specifically list them, so I don't even think we're seeing the full breadth and width of the changes here for Switch Axe.
Yeah, we're gonna see it from some Switch X mains at this point. I think it's bad that they didn't show everything, but okay. There are worse things in life. And I mean, gonna be honest, it sounds a bit boring that they only buffed a bit of damage. It sounds boring. It's good, but it's boring.
But we do know that Counter Rising Slash is now going to be more usable and easy to use, which I find super intriguing. Perhaps it's going to be more
Good.
accessible, and it looks like the readied stance of the Hunter lasts a little bit longer, and I already
Okay.
thought this move was fairly easy to use, so it's just going to get better.
I'm gonna say this: some colleagues that play Monster Hunter Wild, that played Monster Hunter Wild, and the Switch X specifically, they said that the counter is already good. They have absolutely no problems. So, and they are older guys. So, hey, good change, but probably unnecessary.
On top of this, the animation lock for the focus strike has also been shortened, so that should be a little easier as well. And you can even see the hit stop on the full release slash now in the demonstration, and it looks pretty meaty. But I really do hope that the sword mode is going to get juiced, not just the full release slash. For the hunting horn, we have some interesting things to talk about.
The hunting horn, I think the only change they can make is that the damage buff gets, nerfed, because everything else, from what I've seen, it was fine.
Because the attack up songs have been rebalanced to other users in the party. This means that the hunting horn player themselves will retain the full strength of the song, but it
Okay.
won't be as effective on other party members, making other songs even more viable. On top of this, you will have a reduced time that you keep melody effects after switching to another weapon, so this is a change to help mitigate the pocket hunting horn becoming a necessity, and so you're not going to be forced to take a hunting horn as a secondary to have the most damage.
I'm gonna be honest, people will still do it. So that's what I just said, by the way. So, does that, but still, if you want the most damage, you're still taking the hunting horn with you. So it is what it is. As a hunting horn main, yeah, no, you're gonna get me. And if the friendly fire is anywhat, like even half as bad as in the previous in Worlds, I'm gonna smack you around. I don't care. If you smack me once, I'm smacking you around the entire fucking game. I don't care. If it was, I'm just gonna say it like this: there are occasions where yes, you knock your partner in crime or your hunters in team down, not on purpose, but just because you went in a full combo. Maybe we both misjudged the length that you're away, I'm away. That happens. But have 3 freaking great swords in your team, and everybody smacks each other around. The only way how to actually calm them down is going in and smacking the fuckers for 5 straight minutes, and then being like, okay, can you play nice? No? Okay. Yes? Oh, even better. No? You don't? Well, then I'm gonna smack you the next 5 minutes. Okay, no problem. Hunting Horn? Decent at that.
Sword and shield players are going to be pretty happy as well because various parts of their moveset have simply been improved. Rising Slash can now be used while guarding, which is great to hear, and various attacks, especially the normal and perfect rush, have been improved. On top of that, responsiveness has been improved for the mobile chop, side slash combo, guard slash, and perfect rush, with increased evasion being added to your backstep and sliding swipe, which basically means they're going to be even better at dodging incoming hits and perhaps the iframe window is bigger. Overall, the
Good. I'm always critical of Sword and Shield in this game, but as long as it looks cool and it plays well, good.
weapon's going to be even more snappy, responsive, and mobile, and it looks very meaty with that slight hit stop increase.
Good. That's the thing. I always thought that the shield and sword was it was too stiff for the thing that it should be. And if they did a relatively good job in Wilds, so not in Wilds, in World, so but still, it was still too stiff. If they made it snappier, even better. Maybe I'm even gonna try it out and play it.
For the bow, we have a mixture of buffs and nerfs. They're rebalancing the attack power of its regular shots and arc shots, actually increasing them. However, in contrast, they're toning down the power of the tracer shot. This was a very strong move for the bow in the open beta test, but it was somewhat of a mental juggle to keep its uptime high. So this is both a buff and a nerf. On top of that, when targeting a monster with the focus strike, multiple wounds will now be locked on one after another with a delay built in, rather than it being very rapid and targeting them all together. So that is a little bit of a nerf on the focus strike for the bow as well.
Yeah, it is, but it's
for the other weapons, they said there is a general wide range of adjustments to skills and elemental values to help balance the full game's endgame. And the overall hit detection will be improved. Meanwhile, low damage output moves of past games will be tweaked so that those underused moves might be more useful in the actual full game of Monster Hunter Wilds, but they didn't give us any specifics on which moves though.
I mean, the classic, the great sword. Let's just get surprised with this one.
Those will be. Now let's talk about the performance, because they did spend a good chunk of the community update talking about it. Some of this was already in the press previews, so I'm going to run through it pretty quick so we're not going over the same information too long. It's good to know that the open beta test was running on an earlier version of the game that they've already passed, so the final release will be much better when it comes to its performance. There's some new PlayStation 5 gameplay showing off the new performance mode, which is running at a targeted 60 FPS, but it's a little hard to tell in the gameplay because the broadcast may have been at a lower FPS. For the performance details, we can see that on the PlayStation, the graphics mode will be in 4K at 30 FPS, while the performance mode will be at 1080p at 60 FPS. They say they've fixed various bugs to improve the performance, and fixed the performance mode to show finer details much better. If you did splurge and you have yourself a PlayStation 5 Pro, they have said there will be a day one patch for it, basically enhancing the game for pro users. Switching over to the Xbox, we can see it has similar performance to the PlayStation 5, and it's good to see the Series S is targeting 1080p at 30 frames per second, so maybe if you have the chance, it might be time to upgrade. There's also fresh news from Togeda, where he says that the team are looking to lower the minimum recommended GPU specs for users on PC, and they might be adding a benchmark tool allowing you to test your PC hardware to see how well it can run the full game. But they did say they're still finalizing this, there's no promises, but more details will come soon. And I for one think it's great that they might add this benchmarking test tool so we can see if our PCs are capable or not of running the game how we want it. Now for some gameplay changes, they reiterated the hit stop details that we know from the press previews, making various adjustments to it and to the sound effects to make things feel more weighty and impactful across the board. On top of that, the friendly fire details we learned about before are also true. The reasoning behind it is so that new players will have a better time both receiving and accidentally dealing friendly fire to other players, with one example being the Gunlance's Wyvern fire having such a massive range now that the friendly fire on it was just crazy. So
yeah, as I said, if you friendly fire me, by the way, the horn has to be on the front and hitting the head. If you're on my place, I'm gonna smack you. Except you play a hammer. A hammer gets, or a different horn player. You may, but everyone else, get the fuck out.
They've had to tone this down and sort of reevaluate friendly fire across the board. The shockproof jewel was highlighted as a way to nullify damage reactions that you can slot in your gear, which is basically flinch free, so that's still in the game. And they actually showed the changes to the hammer upswing attack, where you will no longer launch other players. In the actual gameplay they showed, you basically knock the player over instead, and I don't know if I'm wrong here, but I actually think getting knocked over is worse than getting knocked into the air. At least when you're knocked into the air, you can attack the monster and maybe get a cool mount, whereas getting knocked over is just frustrating. But what do you...
I mean, I think knocked over goes away quicker, so you can... I'm not sure about that change. No, he's correct about that. Well, we have to see. I'm not sure.
You think on this one? One really cool detail when talking about the hit stop, however, is the fact that the true charge slash on the greatsword is going to have its damage output increased. So if you are a greatsword player out there, then that is just straight up good news. They reiterated on the fact that Western players were the ones complaining about the hit stop in Monster Hunter World being too intense. Now, I personally don't know anyone that complained about the hit stop in Monster Hunter World, but apparently enough players out there did it that was their reasoning for dialing it down in the...
Yep. I believe them instantly. We have a pretty giant pussification right now, so yeah, I believe them.
The open beta test. However, enough people have given feedback that they miss it, so that's the reasoning they're adding it back in.
Good.
Another interesting point is on the monsters moving areas super frequently in the open beta test, and they've confirmed that was a bug and they are going to be changing it so that the monsters change areas with the same frequency as they did in Monster Hunter World. And they also pointed out that the pop-up camps are available around the map in set locations, so you can more easily fast travel nearby monsters' nests for when they start limping and go and run away to rest. Now I will go through some other details that were mentioned here and there that might be of interest. They pointed out that weapon skills will be focused on weapons instead of armor, so that when you change weapon, you retain the damage skills related to the weapon you're currently using. They also pointed out on this subject that upgrading weapons will not remove their weapon skills as long as it's within the same tree. They showed an example of this that actually gave us a glimpse into a skill that's been changed, where they showed speed sharpening on the Hope Blade 2, staying and adding critical eye on the Hope Blade 3, which we can see critical eye now only goes up to level 5. Now, if you did play with friends or try out the multiplayer in the open beta test, you may have seen there was a bit of a problem with people spamming stickers and communications. Well, they've now added in ways to mute specific players, so that won't be a problem with people who try to abuse the system, and they will limit the actual communications that you see from other players in the lobby when you go out on a hunt with just your friends. On top of...
Good. By the way, I agree with these changes. Because yes, first of all, you need a mute button for some freaks out there. And there are some freaks that actually abuse this. So the limitation on the chat is also good. I think, except it went to the extreme. Even if you can mute them, specifically if you run a console, from what I heard, because I am playing on the PC, it's extremely annoying to mute someone and you don't always have the time when you're fighting a monster. So, yeah, I'm fine with that.
That they've added in private and squad lobbies, making it easier to team up with your friends, and they pointed out that the environment link system is designed to be used across all of the regions, not just one as it was in the open beta test. An interesting point is the weapon UI element sizes per weapon are also going to be adjusted, and Tokuda and the team are also considering if they want to bring the open beta test back again. They did say though, if they do bring it back, it will be a rerun of the original open beta test without these new weapon changes.
Then don't even release it. It doesn't make sense. It's just the open beta is there to actually fix things. So players can give you feedback. And if you release it with the same old, it's just... You won't get... Maybe some new things will be found, but at the end of the day, it won't really profit you, not in profit as a financial profit, but in profit in knowledge that you won't really find anything new and you will lose a lot of manpower on specifically that. So you can make basically the game a bit better by distributing your manpower in different ways instead of just, well, having the next beta that's gonna be the same anyway, so just doesn't seem right to me. Or because I am not... My thinking is, I want a better game. Because a better game from the start will be better than having the next beta release. So if we can have it even a bit better than before, just don't do it, just focus on the game. That's my opinion on this one.
So it will be the exact same beta test that was already played. He said this would purely be so that more people would have a chance to play the game. And I think that is a good point, but I think it would be very confusing for players to jump back on it and then not experience the changes that they have said are going to be made on these different weapons. It
could also frustrate a lot of people that actually put in the time and they didn't hear this. So
seems like a bit of a step back. Finally, we got some details on support hunters, where people were wondering if there was a way to stop them from breaking wounds on the monster you're hunting. He said at launch there won't be an option to disable this, and the way that the support hunters work is that if a wound is left unbroken for around a minute or two in the hunt, they will then start to focus it and destroy it. So when hunting with support hunters, if you want to do focus strikes yourself, you need to do it on the wounds within the first minute or two of them appearing. Well, that's pretty much all of these standout important...
Nice. Okay. That's good news. I didn't hear any bad news from it, so there's that. But as it is, Arcanos Gaming, giving some love acolytes, and as it is, good night. Or good day. When I'm doing 2 a day, so... And just instantly posting them, that literally saves a lot of time. Didn't expect this one. So I can really do most days, not always, but most days, 2 videos a day. Helps. But good night.